And again, another shout out to Darnell Nurse, who has been fucking fantastic. And I think everybody that's hated on him has to turn around and be like, listen, yeah, again, 9.5, whatever he's making is way too much, but he is playing good hockey. And you could argue that he's competing with, Ekholm and as the best D-man on the team right now, just the way consistently he's played and with lesser partners. He's not playing with a boost. He's not playing with somebody that can open him up offensively. And he's been great, solid defensively, moving the puck well, not doing too much, and chipping in when he has to. So I've loved his game, and I think more so than ever, if they just get, at first I was like, they need a really solid top four guy, but they just need to get another defenseman, probably someone with some experience. And I think this is kind of a decor that's, pieced it together. I think Kulak's been great, and he's great on my third pair. But yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing. There's a couple guys I think still need to pick it up, the Jeff Skinners and all that. But, obviously another undercover pickup I think that's been great is Kasperi Kapanen, who's been really good. I think he's been very, very solid. And Leon seems to enjoy playing with him. And I mean, I look at that Leon goal. If you look at that Leon goal, that play he makes on the wall is elite to get that puck out, to start that breakout. He makes that little between the legs pass, and that sparks the whole thing. So, he's playing the right way. I'm liking what I'm seeing. That was one of their, I think last time I talked to you, we said it was one of their best games. I think this was another one. But I mean, you also have to look, and you can't get too high because Gustafsson didn't have a great game. And then, you lose Middleton in the first shift. Without Brodin, I mean, you're very thin on that back end, especially down the left side. And those are probably their two best defensive players. So it's just, you have John Merrill playing your top pairing is a whole game against Connor and Leon is no bueno.
I want to zero back in on the blue line with you quickly, because my next question was going to be about Darnell Nurse, but I guess I'll make it a bit more of like a bigger picture thing, because like Darnell Nurse is doing the things that make him a bit of a unicorn with the skating and the physical play. He gets pucks through at a really, really good rate. And you combine what Nurse is doing with, I think Ty Amberson has taken some great steps forward for this team over the last 3 weeks. Brett Kulak is continuing to be just Brett Kulak, which is just rock solid. So now you're kind of starting to piece things together, and it's like, okay, Bush and Ekholm are rebounding nicely. You have this really solid third pairing, I think, with Kulak and Emberson. If Darnell Nurse is going to keep being this guy, and you can go find that new complementary piece for him, I thought before the Oilers needed to add a top four D-man just to make their blue line serviceable. Now I'm almost sitting there, and if Nurse is going to keep playing like this and all those other factors keep rolling, I'm like, man, if you can go get a Provorov or whoever it is on the rental market, I think this blue line starts to look like Stanley Cup caliber all of a sudden.
Well, we knew they were going to be back in the conversation. They had to be. I just think, they are very deep, and it is kind of, they don't necessarily have a lot of household names, but like to your point, like Kulak's a great D-man. He's a phenomenal third pairing guy, can play up on the second pair. And Emerson, we were kind of wondering where he goes. Like if he plays his physical way and fights and stays healthy, because he has kind of run into some injury problems, you're kind of, you like that third pair because it's either Emerson or Troy Stetcher. And we kind of said it before, like, I don't love Stetch in my second pairing, but as a third pairing guy, yeah, I think he's a gamer. He can get some offense, and he's a good 15-minute or less kind of D-man. So yeah, like I'm looking around the league though. I've been trying to kind of figure it out of like who would work best with salary retention. I mean, you even look at I know everybody hates Cam Fowler, but I just don't know if that would work. And then you're looking at the other teams, because right now it's really a weird time in terms of the trade market, because other than if you look in the East, like all these teams are only like, it's a shit show in the East. Like there's like, you win 2 games, you're in a wild card spot. Mm-hmm. It's very much not like the West. So I don't know if anybody's going to trade within the West with the Edmonton Oilers. So I'm looking at the East, and I'm like, who can you maybe bring? I mean, can you maybe steal somebody for the Rangers? Because if they start figuring out that they're not if they realize that we all know that they're not really a cup contender and they're missing a lot, can you pull for them? You can't really go. And Columbus I don't know if they're going to sell. I think you could have got a Juracek, but I just think I just don't know what I've heard in the locker room, if he's actually that good and kind of a little bit of a powder. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Do you maybe lean on somebody in the minors like a Phil Kemp that has been playing? I've heard some scouts talking to me saying he's played really well the last couple of weeks, been very good. And is he a guy that can maybe come up to it and slot into that role for cheap? But yeah, I really do think if they want to win a cup, they need one more. They need just one more guy that can play your top four. So that's going to be interesting to see what the brain trust does in Edmonton. And it's been quiet though. Like you haven't heard much. We had Frank Saravalli on, and I know they're actively looking, but he really kind of said that it's not much out there right now in terms of defensemen, and that's kind of been an issue the last few years. Like the quality of D-man in the NHL has kind of slowly taken a little bit of a hit, not because I retired, but because there's other guys in the league that, are starting to leave, and you're seeing a lot of veteran guys. That's what Frank said. Frank said yesterday that a month ago they called Kevin Shattenkirk and they asked him if he would come on a PTO, and he was kind of already decided that he was retiring, but they inquired about him and we're going to bring him in on a PTO a month ago. So that would have been a great guy for that spot against Nurse, just a guy that can move the puck. And so, we'll see kind of what happens as it shakes out. But, I think they're going to probably take this as far as they can before if somebody comes available. So, because they probably don't want to show their hand too early.
What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.